Okay, 5 elements and kind of how they relate to life, or how we can use them, or maybe see patterns, since they are kind of more of a seasonal, cyclical type of thing. First, my name is Courtland. I run White Wolf Holistics with my family. We're up here in Jacksonville, Florida. This is part of my Touch for Health training, and I also teach it. This is from the traditional Chinese medicine, so acupuncturists will use this. And learning about the 5 elements is really kind of cool, because you have the organs that fit inside them as well, the 14 meridians. These are the 12 meridians, since the 2 main are kind of inside and outside of them. Let's kind of start with, there's a lot to the 5 elements. We'll kind of go through the basics here. We have fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. So the reason I picked this backdrop here in my office is you can kind of see the wheel in the background. It has a couple different relationships. Fire, obviously we know about fire. It burns. It has a lot of energy. And the thing with the 5 elements is you want everything to kind of be in balance. You want just a nice fire, a nice warm fire. You don't want it to be too small, and you don't want it to be a huge bonfire. Then there's an imbalance in the flow of things. Earth is steady. Fire creates earth. So the acid from the fire, that creates the earth. And then we move from earth to metal. So metal is housed as ore inside of the earth. So earth creates metal. Metal creates water. So think of like water condensation on a metal canister or something. Water creates wood. So moving into the wood element, and then wood creates fire. So each one has to have its flow. It gives to something and it pulls from something. A little neat extrapolation, this is kind of how it ties into life, is we can kind of follow the different phases of life, with wood being growth. So that's like toddler, little kid phase. All about the growth. Next you have fire, so think of teenagers, young adults, all that fire, change the world, go out, make their mark, do their thing. Then you have earth. Earth is kind of like my time zone. Families, grounding, rooting down. And then you go through that phase, and then you go to metal. Metal is about refinement. It's not, it's think fine artwork and metalwork. It's all about polishing and refining, because that's how metal is made, right? You take ore and you refine it down into metal, and then you can create stuff. So that's the later years, where you've done everything, you've learned a whole bunch, and now you're just refining things. So that's what the metal phase of life is about. Then we have water. Water is transition period, so that's the last phase as you're getting ready to phase out and pass on, and then that is the greatest transformation. And then it goes right back around again, around and around. That's and then that's called the Shang cycle. The Shang is the creation cycle. Each one is creating the other. You can't just have creation. There has to be some control. So there's the co-cycle. So inside the co-cycle, it kind of looks like a bit of a star. This is also known as the grandmother-daughter relationship. So the Shang, the creation, is grandmother, mother, mother, daughter, all in a flow. The grandmother-daughter, so that's going to go, like, say, from metal to earth, which is yellow. Earth controls water, water controls fire, fire controls metal, metal controls wood. So that's how things are kind of kept in check. So how does that relate to life? So let's say you got way too much going on. You got too much fire. You kind of can picture some fiery people. All that energy just going crazy. So they need a little bit more water in their life. A little bit calmer. Get some more flow. Some water to help balance out that fire. So that's where it's kind of really helpful to kind of know just the basic flow of the 5 elements and kind of how it works. So maybe if you have too much fire, you got to control with some water, but maybe you need to start pulling that energy away from fire into earth. So a little earth and water. Maybe you go outside, you sit by a lake, have some water, bring some sort of water, little waterfall into your house, or go plant, go dig in your garden for a little bit more of that earth element. And it's just simple things like that. It doesn't have to be balances or things. This is kind of how you can bring the elements back into play in your life, and just kind of having an awareness that maybe I have too much water. Maybe primary emotion for water is anxiety and where's my thing? Fear, anxiety, a little bit too much water. Okay, well, earth controls water, so maybe I need a little bit more earth. Maybe I need to get that water to flow, and it flows in the direction of wood. So now it's a wood earth. So bringing in both the Shang and Ko, or the creation and control cycles, and kind of helping pull and support that extra water that you may have going on. So those are pretty simple ways of looking at it without getting too deep. Or maybe there's something that just really calls to you. Maybe one of the elements really calls. Color. So there's a color balance. You just kind of go from color to color. Doesn't have to be in any certain order, because the color represents the element as well. So maybe you need a bit more green and a bit more yellow if you have an overabundance of water or the negative aspects of that element. It could just be something. You got too much, maybe it's a house, you got burst pipes, there's just way too much water. Because it all kind of cycles in. When we were renovating this place, it was raining and we had leaks, and one of the drain spouts for the roof was blocked. So we did some balancing around, and it was just like stuff was not moving. It was not flowing. So we did balances around the business and the building, and then some personal stuff personally wasn't going as smoothly or in flow as it should. So that was a very interesting balances, and what came up, a lot of earth correction. So stomach and spleen sit inside earth. Metal, lung, and large intestine. Water is kidney and bladder, so that makes sense, a lot of the water. Wood is gallbladder and liver. Fire is small intestine and heart. And then 2 accessory, the triple warmer meridian and circulation meridian. So you can dive into, maybe my kidney Kidney kind of handles stress. Maybe I got too much happening in kidney, or kidney's depleted. So if kidney's depleted, you need a little bit more metal to help feed into that water element. So just having that diagram, or looking up any traditional Chinese medicine, they're going to have the 5-element chart, and then just kind of seeing how that circle goes. Let's see if this pops up a little bit better. So you can kind of see the circle, and then you can see how the star pattern flows. A lot of metaphors to go along with the 5 elements too. Besides just, the wood is growth. We're just going to go through some very general. So let's just do a little fun exercise for anybody in the replay or listening. You can just go ahead and pick one of the colors, whatever one calls to you. And then as I read the metaphors for each element, just notice how that resonates. Give you a few seconds to do that. So we'll start with earth. The earth element. Oh, I'll add a couple of ones. There's central and governing meridian. Central is like the inside of the circle, in this purple. And then governing is outside of the circle, holding everything together. And that's kind of also purple. So if purple calls to you, I'll read those ones last. Let's start with earth. The earth element, stomach and spleen meridians. Do you have your feet on the ground, or do you need to be grounded, rooted, and stable? Then going a little bit deeper into the meridians, the general metaphor for the meridian, stomach. Are you receiving the proper resources to fulfill your purposes? Are you able to use your resources efficiently? What nutrient, emotion, or idea are you digesting? And what is difficult for you to swallow or gives you a stomach ache, physical, emotional, etc., or inhibits free breathing, figuratively or literally? Spleen. Are you burdened with toxic dietary, mental, chemical, spiritual materials? Are you breaking down problems into digestible parts? So all of those things can, relate back into the earth element of, do you have your feet on the ground, or do you need to be grounded, rooted, and stable? So if you're not able to digest or break stuff down, that's kind of what earth does, right? Think of compost. And then it's also like earthing, going out, standing in the earth. That's an exchange of negative ions and helps to ground our bodies. Very important. Let's move on to metal. Do you need a hard shell, barriers or boundaries, or do you need to open up more, let down your shield or mask? Are you too hard or not hard enough on yourself or others? Are you too focused on adornment and appearances, or do you need to pay some attention to how you present yourself? Barriers, walls, shields, masks. Okay, so that's kind of the general flavor for metal. Lung and large intestine sit in the metal element. Lung, can you breathe, speak easily? Do you have a free flow of fresh air and inspiration, or are you constricted, inhibited in speaking literally or figuratively? Do you need to shout, cheer, or even cough something up? So the voice, hard shells, barriers, walls, that can definitely inhibit the voice. Large intestine, do you retain things you can no longer use until they become toxic, or are you letting too much go? So too high of walls, too low of walls. Both are an imbalance. That is the metal element. Water, bladder, and kidneys. Is there too much mystery, fear, and risk, or do you need to overcome your fears and allow some uncertainty to fulfill your dreams? Bladder. Are you hydrated, lubricated, is energy and emotion freely flowing, or what's too concentrated and irritating? Kidney. Do you have vitality for growth and development, or are you operating on reserve energy or just surviving? Are you drinking enough water or doing what you need to do for purification, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, or physically? So once again, it's that flow. Too much flow. So maybe emotions are just right at the top and they're just bursting through, or there's no flow and it's like you can't even get a tear out. Kidney meridian. Kidney meridian's a lot I see in practice for people. It's the, are you operating on reserve energy and just surviving? Drinking enough water? Self-care. Control. Since water is too much mystery, fear, and risk, or not enough. Either too controlled or not controlled enough. Which is funny because the control for water is earth. So think of a lake or a pond. It's an earthen structure that holds the water. The wood element. Do you have enough roots, structure to sustain your growth, or do you need more freedom? Gallbladder and liver. Gallbladder and liver. Gallbladder is, can you digest the heavy parts of your life, or are you too concentrated, needing dilution? In the liver. How are you handling your multiple responsibilities? Are you overwhelmed, toxic, or do you need to absorb more? Those are big ones as well. I mean, they're all big. Liver and gallbladder. Primary emotion for wood is anger. Yeah, there's like a specific thing. If the liver isn't functioning properly, the chain of events literally helps create the anger chemicals. And it takes 8 hours for your body, once the anger is present and it's released that cascade of chemicals and hormones, it takes 8 hours for your body to deal with it. Nuts. Also, with the gallbladder, digestion, releasing of the bile. And then liver. Liver processes everything. Liver does 500 plus things a second. Has a ton of responsibilities. So it's interesting that how are you handling your responsibilities, or multiple responsibilities, is directly tied to the liver. Are you overwhelmed, or do you need to absorb more? Right, and that leaves us with fire and then water. Fire. Do you have fire in the belly, passion and energy for life? Are you too passionate, burning up your energy stores, burning those around you, or are you too cold and unable to be passionate? Heart meridian. Do you have fluid circulation and communication within your soul or in your daily activities, literally or figuratively? Is there any conflict between your logical thinking, intuition, wisdom, or emotional feelings? And then small intestine, what is difficult to absorb, digest, or gives you a stomach ache, or inhibits free breathing figuratively or literally. It's interesting. The small intestine is very similar to stomach. Fire. That inner fire, inner deep energy, it's kind of very much. If we were to kind of tie this into chakras, root energy, a lot of, especially with the circulation, meridian, hormones, reproductive organs is in there. That's a lot of creation energy. With the muscle testing, it's often, I find, imbalanced for a lot of people within the fire element. All right. And then if you chose purple is central and governing. Those are the major circuit breakers for the body as far as meridians go. If central and governing aren't happy, then everything else suffers. Central and governing are like the hydro dam, and then everything else is like the irrigation of the fields, everything else below that. So if the dam is empty, then everything else isn't getting the flow or the energy they need. Central meridian is where the youth energy is stored prior to being released with the breath on exhaling. What subtle small thing or idea do you need to release to reach your goal? Governing meridian is a storage vessel for excess or youth energy before the energy is released with the breath. And what are you carrying that has become a burden? Central is also brain, central nervous system. Governing is spine. Okay, so there is some balancing where sometimes all I have to do is figure out which metaphor with the muscle testing that your body needs to hear. So you may have received a little balance just by listening to me going through the metaphors for the 5 elements and the meridians. So kind of just touch base and just kind of see how you feel. And then notice which elements resonated and which one you picked, how it went. Then if you can think throughout your day or the season of life that you're in, how it kind of relates. So I'll use myself as a personal example with Earth. I'm in the phase of Earth. I'm building a business. I have a young family, putting down roots, building stuff. There's no refinement yet. If we're definitely in build phase, I could definitely think when I was younger, going through that fire phase, all that energy, school and getting a job and dating and getting married and a lot of energy and movement. Now it's anchoring it down, and I can definitely see that in this phase of life. So it's definitely what can I digest? Because stomach and spleen is a lot of digestion. And stomach meridian controls a lot of your neck and shoulder muscles too. So it was like, I carry my stress in my shoulders, carry the weight of the world. Well, if you're carrying stress, then that's undigested problems, issues. If you're able to digest them easily, they wouldn't really be sitting on your shoulders. So to be nice and grounded in the earth, it's very important for me to figure out how to digest the problems. So I use a lot of fire and wood, a lot of wood to help control the earth. Roots structure earth, right? If the earth had no roots, I mean, that's what creates a desert. Shifting sands, nothing is stable. But if you're able to plant the grasses and the trees into the desert, now it has structure and it has hold, and now it's able to grow things. And then you got to have that fire to feed. So fire is like the potash and the different things to help feed that earth. So I'm pulling from the fire, and having that wood, bringing in that wood to help support and anchor when I'm building in earth. That's the rooting down. I also love a lot of green. A lot of greens. Love greens. I probably can't tell by the wall color. I'm not sure how it shows up on your end, but it's a nice green. We have some different yellows, tans. I have a lot of trees. So if I show you the other that I'm looking at here, my nice tree tapestry. So I pull a lot of wood. Now that I'm talking through this whole thing, that makes a lot of sense. Besides just loving trees, earth, you do have a lot of earthy things. So what I read is from Touch for Health, the Touch for Health metaphors. If you're interested or you want to find out more, Touch for Health metaphor, go to touchforhealthus.com, and you can find all kinds of literature. The metaphors book, there's classes, I teach classes. You can find out a lot just by searching traditional Chinese medicine 5 elements if you want to do a deeper dive. If you love acupuncture, maybe this will give you a better idea of some talking points, questions you can ask your acupuncturist, because they go way deep in the different levels of the meridians and the elements. Doing a balance and figuring out kind of how, there's metal people, there's fire people, there's earth people, just as a general disposition, like you have extroverts, introverts. You can kind of look at how people are, what they kind of value, how they kind of act. I'm sure you can think of a few fiery people. You can think of some very grounding people. Some people are very wood, very growth systems, growth orientated. And then your perfectionist, that's the metal. They love good systems. They love refinement. May or may not have boundaries, since that's a big deal for the metal element. But you can also kind of look at maybe different situations, family, career, relationships, anything, and kind of see how things play out. Sometimes when we have a balance, maybe it's a balanced goal reference into work. We can kind of see where the imbalances are, and is it a mother-daughter imbalance? Is it a grandmother-daughter imbalance? And you can kind of see, is this a creation cycle imbalance or a control cycle imbalance? Because remember, they're both extremely important. Got to have the growth, but then you got to have the control. And there's the seasons, there's the cycles. Well, I find looking at life through a 5-element lens helps me step back and look at things from a more open perspective and gain some more awareness as to where I'm at, or maybe what do I need, where is my imbalance, what am I holding on to, or what am I rich in. Yeah, 5 elements are very, very fun. And you can just bring them into your, into your life. Cooking deals with all the elements. You got your wooden spoon, you got water, you got the metal pot, you have earth with like kind of your vegetables, and then wood, all that growth, with the veggies. Yeah, that hits everything. So cooking, no wonder cooking is such a therapeutic exercise. You're working with all the elements. If you have like a relaxing room, maybe figure out what you need a bit more of, and you can put a little bit more of that in there. Or if you're looking for just a very well balanced space, see how well you're bringing in all the 5 elements. Remember, colors count too: yellow, blue, green, red, white, gray. So yeah, I hope you found some interest and enjoyed that little exercise with picking an element and seeing kind of how it resonated. And if it did resonate, you can watch it again, or watch that particular section again and see if what part of the creation cycle. Was it the one before, or was it the one after, or the control cycle? Going off of that, or taking a screenshot of this, and then it's like a nice little personal reading that has some benefits of helping you kind of bring some natural things into your life. All right, everybody. Thank you. Courtland Smith, White Wolf Holistics, and I will see you all next time. Thank you.